I'm Irna. Check out my Instagram, Irna Eats, and welcome to WrestleBeard Worldwide. Boom!
WrestleBeards, we got all your wrestling gear. WrestleBeards, hairy men with dirty beards. WrestleBeards Worldwide.
Sup everyone, this is Shrek for WrestleBeards Worldwide and welcome to our weekly podcast number 9. How's it doing, Luke?
All good. How are you, Shrek?
I'm doing well, mate. It's been a so-so week of ups and downs of wrestling. Many highs with the Rumble, and then it's gone kind of a bit stale since then.
It has been, like I was saying to you before the podcast, it's been the kind of the news has been the two winners from the Rumble. There hasn't really been much else going on in the world of wrestling this week.
And the worst part about this week is it's a whole other year until the Royal Rumble again.
Yes, another 365 days to go.
But I don't know why I'm so doom and gloom, because I am still the WrestleBeards champion, and it's my first time winning the Royal Rumble, so I'm pretty stoked with that.
Yeah, good job. Yeah, you. It wasn't just the Goldberg; it was the Rhea Ripley pick as well, which was very, very well made. Good work.
Honestly, shame on you for choosing Goldberg. I mean, you deserve to lose if you choose Goldberg.
I got swept up in it. I thought they're going to do it again. They've done it so many times.
I was so happy when he won. Drew, that is.
Yeah,
pretty good Rumble overall. We haven't had a good chance to chat about it, but I feel like the right winners won of the Rumbles in the end. The only thing I felt was they crapped on Daniel Bryan again a little bit, but yeah, I'm sure we'll talk about that.
Yeah, well, hopefully that pays off in a Daniel Bryan Seth Rollins feud, that would be really good.
Yeah, there could be something there, right? Okay, well, how about since we've started the ball rolling on the week of news, how about you kick us off with our segment and the news?
Yes. So, Ty's at the ready.
Got to get in here now. Hang on a minute.
Ever prepared.
It's my little tie cabinet. So,
right. Yeah. So the first bit of news that's coming out of the last couple of days is that both Rey Mysterio and Cesaro have signed new contracts and new deals with WWE. I'm not going to mention about Cesaro in my upcoming SmackDown review. So I will say that obviously he's getting a bit of a push, and I've got my tie on backwards. Brilliant. I'll keep it there. It's fine.
It's all good.
Live podcasting. So Cesaro's getting a bit of a push. He's got his second big win over Daniel Bryan today, which is obviously an incentive for him to re-sign. Rey Mysterio one is a bit of an interesting one. I think it's probably because he's getting on. He probably wants to retire with the company now, and obviously be there whilst his boy Dominic is learning the ropes as well and coming through. So yeah, two good wrestlers. I'm pretty pleased about Cesaro because I like Cesaro. I like him a lot, and if they can do maybe a Cesaro heel turn, I think would be like a full heel turn. He's been playing the heel recently anyway, but a full heel turn, I think he could go on a bit of a good run. So what are your thoughts on that one?
Well, I'm repping the Cesaro hat at the moment, the bar. Yes, I am a big Cesaro fan, and I'm glad to see him stay on with the company. Although, personally for him, I think he would have probably got more out of moving over to AEW. That said, I did hear, the gauntlet match weeks ago where Adam Pearce ended up beating Shinsuke Nakamura at the end. That spot was actually meant to be for Cesaro originally, I've read on the dirt sheets. But because he hadn't signed his contract at that stage, they changed it to Shinsuke.
Well, they gave it to someone whose contract's expiring in April?
Yeah.
not very good business.
But talking for Rey Mysterio, I think it's just the thing to do with his son more than anything. Probably they see potential in Dominic, so they had to sign Rey if they were going to sign Dominic, something like that. Yeah,
no, I agree. Well, and obviously the other side of contract signings means contracts removed or expired. So Lars Sullivan and one of the Forgotten Sons, Cutler, both left the WWE. I'm not so familiar with Cutler, but being part of a tag team were the other Forgotten Sons?
Yeah, Wesley Blake.
Were they fired?
I don't know what happened to Wesley Blake.
I don't know anything about those guys.
But yeah, I mean, they were floundering, weren't they? Lars Sullivan kept getting pushed. Then there was some other controversy back and forth. He had anxiety issues, I believe. There was some age-old message boards that came out where he was like racist or so forth. Yeah. I think there was alleged he'd been in some pornographic videos. I mean, that's a liability. You don't need a guy like that in your company. And I mean, who cares about Lars Sullivan? He was nothing, was he? He was just a big freak.
Well, he's known as, like, when he was down in NXT, he was known as not being a very safe worker as well. Like, they used to put him in all these ladder matches for the North American title. I remember him putting Ricochet through a ladder from powerbomb outside the ring, and it looks so dangerous. And obviously, Ricochet tried to help himself, tried to ricochet off the ladder. But yeah, I don't see Lars Sullivan as a big loss at all.
No. And as for what's his name, Steven Cutler, he was originally in some kind of tag team back with what's his name, Blake, and then they became Forgotten Sons with Jackson Riker. They had a little mini push, but then Jackson Riker had some kind of controversy, so it halted that. But then I heard the other day that, Cutler's girlfriend or partner is actually Diano Perazza, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. The current Impact Women's Champion, and released in that great big onslaught of releases from WWE earlier in the year, or last year, sorry. And she came out and said since Cutler's release that actually both of them had tested positive for COVID-19 at some stage earlier in the year, and she believes that's why Cutler's been held back the way he has in some way.
Oh wow! Yeah. Okay. Well, talking of being held back and disappointments, nice segue there. Goes into my second piece about Keith Lee not being present at the Rumble. I was questioning it. Certainly when you and we tried doing a live stream, didn't we? And it didn't quite go to plan.
Did not work.
But we did chat about Keith Lee and also Jey Uso. I still don't know the reasons behind Jey Uso not being present. Certainly after he had confirmed that he was going to be in the Rumble. But Keith Lee wasn't present at the time because his girlfriend, Mia Yim of NXT, who was also meant to be in the Rumble, tested positive COVID-19 less than 24 hours before the event. So Keith Lee had to be in quarantine, isolation at their house. I believe they live out in Florida as well. So yeah, that gives some reason to it because I think he would have got a huge push, and I'm sure that's probably a reason why the men's Rumble didn't feel as good as the women's Rumble. The women's Rumble felt far more planned, far more like there was a lot more booking that went into it, whereas the men's Rumble seemed like it was kind of loosely planned a little bit. And my thinking behind that is because both Jey Uso and Keith Lee probably were two mainstays in the Rumble, not likely to win it. Keith Lee perhaps likely to win it or come close, but to be there for a while and both to have a good showing. So I think in turn that gives a reason for why the men's Rumble was not as good as the women's Rumble. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I've heard reports that they had to change the men's Rumble quite dramatically due to a few changes backstage. So obviously Keith Lee and Mia Yim's absence had some role in that, and potentially Jey Uso. I heard that actually Strowman wasn't really meant to come back as early as he has done now. And that was probably a spot opened up for one of those guys, whether it was the 30 spot as Strowman was in, or maybe they juggled that around as well. I could see Keith Lee probably being the juggernaut guy that Strowman played in that Rumble. So that probably
Yep.
makes sense. They brought some heavy back to fulfill the big man obligation that Keith Lee was missing from. Yeah, Keith Lee, I don't know. It's just that same old story of the NXT call-up, isn't it? Like they come up, they do something great for the first week they're on Raw or SmackDown, and then they just become another face. What's Mia Yim? She's Reckoning or something. What's her name? And the
so she's Reckoning. She's been going back and forth on Twitter with what's his name? I can't remember. The guy from the New Day. His name evades me.
Big E?
Not Kofi
Xavier?
Kingston. Not Big E. Xavier Woods. Yeah. And they've been going back and forth, looking at a potential intergender match coming up between the two of them, because he's lost 2 against 2 of Retribution. He's won 2 against Retribution, and she's the 5th. So to make it a sort of winner takes all, which would be interesting considering they did Reginald versus Sasha Banks recently. That was quite good. But yeah, so it gives some reason. I'm surprised that the WWE didn't announce that about Keith Lee, and we had to just work it out ourselves. I thought that was a bit poor, because Keith Lee, he's one of my favorites. He's one of my favorites in NXT, one of my favorites in wrestling. So I was in WWE. So I was very disappointed that he wasn't in the Rumble. And then a nice segue here, talking of the Rumble. My favorite part actually was the amazing performance by the biggest Latino superstar, Bad Bunny. I'd never heard of him previously, but my Latina pop music isn't what it used to be. But Bad Bunny potentially practicing and learning some spots for a match at WWE WrestleMania 37. Now, I'm disappointed by that. He almost killed himself jumping off the top rope onto Miz and Morrison in the Rumble. Did you see it when his back foot slipped out and he almost landed on his head? I don't like the celebrity appearances. Certainly celebrities that kind of mean nothing to me. Like, it doesn't. I guess they're probably trying to garner the South American audience a little bit to tune in. But the most disappointing factor of this for me is that it's probably going to be Damian Priest's WrestleMania match, teaming with Bad Bunny to beat The Miz and Morrison. Oh, God. Like, it's terrible. He looks so good in the Rumble. So fast, so big. He got a big push. Now he's going to be the henchman for a little Mexican rapper.
It's his 36 million Instagram followers that entices the WWE to let him in. I think he's well followed and well received by the Latinos. But yeah, I'm not a big Bad Bunny fan. I literally had never heard of him before. Like, no joke, not even I was like, what is going on? I thought it might have been that bunny that used to follow around the rosebuds. But yeah, Damian Priest, he looks like a beast. He's actually not a young fella either. I heard he's like 38 years old. Yeah,
he's been around on the indies for like 12, 15 years, kind of similar to Kevin Owens, but how Kevin Owens was on the indies for forever.
Yeah, his name was Punishment Martinez.
Punishment Martinez, yeah.
But yeah, I'm not a big fan of this. I'd rather see Miz and Morrison elevated to new heights at WrestleMania. I don't want to see them in this kind of floundering celebrity role. It seems like the last time Morrison had a WrestleMania, he was in the match with Snooki, and now he's going to be in he's going to be in another match with bloody Bad
Bunny. Oh, well, I tell you what I would prefer. Rather than Damian Priest, I would prefer the guy that is the reason for Bad Bunny being here. I'd prefer Booker T and Bad Bunny versus Miz and Morrison.
Yeah, I could see that.
That would be better. Booker T standing there like this whilst Bad Bunny sings around him, which wasn't weird at all.
Yeah, one thing I was going to mention as well. Do you know what Damian Priest's finishing move is? You know what it's called?
Go on. Is it like the Archer or something?
Not called the Bad Bunny, by the way. It's called the Reckoning.
The Reckoning.
How do they have like so limited amounts of names for things that they've got a wrestler and a finishing move called the same thing? I mean, that really tied up the news segment well. We've interlaced all of the different aspects, but oh my god,
We have. Yeah.
not
a good
don't
week for
expect
news.
anything big with Punishment Martinez on the main roster. He's not going to do
No.
anything.
He isn't, unfortunately not.
He'll be
right,
running
let's get
around
these.
after that 24/7 title in about 1 month.
You will be. Yeah. Right, that is it for the news, and what a poor week of news it was. Why don't you bring us in to what I thought wasn't a bad Monday Night Raw?
Yeah, well, I mean, traditionally, Raws after Royal Rumble and after Mania are the two best Raws of the year because, you know, they kind of shake up things. Obviously, Royal Rumble is the road to WrestleMania, and then Mania is the new landscape. So those Raws are always quite meaningful. You know, there's always maybe the odd debut or someone returning or a big announcement. And especially for Royal Rumble winners, it's who are they going to choose? Who are they going to fight at WrestleMania? So that started on this week's Raw. So anyway, Raw, I'm going to refer to my notes here. Raw opened up with Drew coming out. You know, valiant in his efforts over Goldberg at the Mania. In the end, it was the right decision. I'm sure you'll agree, even though you were a big Goldberg fan going into the Rumble.
The biggest.
Sorry to bring it up again. So he comes out. He congratulates, you know, all of the different participants in the Rumble matches and the title matches. He says from the top to the bottom of the card, you know, it's quite a nice little moment where he's actually giving praise to all the people backstage. And then Edge, the winner of the Royal Rumble, interrupts. He comes out. He first of all says to Drew that he likes Drew, and he's thankful that, to Drew for what he just said about him and winning the Rumble. But then he says, "But what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you, Drew? I have just won the Rumble, and you don't attack me. You don't drop me on my ass. You want to sit here and pay me compliments." And it was quite cool. I liked that kind of swerve. Like, he's telling it how it is. Edge is the ultimate opportunist after all. So, you know, he's saying, why don't you take a leaf out of my book? I would have dropped me on my ass. And Drew, you know, comes back at him like, no, that's not my style. That's not how I play ball. I'm a fighting champ, but I don't need to stoop to those kind of lows. That was you. That's not me, blah, blah, blah. So out then comes Sheamus, Drew's best friend. He's not happy. He's not happy with what Edge is saying. He's you know, basically there to defend his buddy, saying that you know, you don't get to just run your mouth. Drew was the guy who held this company while we went through the pandemic, while we were in the no fans, no Thunderdome era, and Edge basically panders off. And then it's Drew and Sheamus in the ring. And then, wow, we didn't see that coming, did we? No, Sheamus with the bro kick, and he knocks his mate out cold. And it's the big heel turn. I think Sheamus is catching up to the Big Show in heel turns. He's had a few of them throughout the year. And they're no longer friends. In fact, that's what Sheamus tells Drew backstage moments later. We are no longer friends. Oh, that's terrible. Don't know what I was doing there. And basically, he wants that WWE title. And then, just to cut into the future, later Drew, looking quite disheveled and upset that his mate's turned on him, accepts the challenge and says that Sheamus has a title shot in the future. So I ask you, Luke, what do you think about the swerve, the heel turn, Edge's involvement, and when do you think that title shot's going to happen?
So I liked Edge's involvement, and coming out and he looks credible for any challenge to a title. The way that he's been booked, the way he's speaking, he looks credible for any challenge to a title. You and I have been saying that the heel turn of Sheamus is coming. We knew it would be coming. So that wasn't such a big surprise. Did look like a bit of a nasty bro kick in his brogues. Did you notice he was wearing these horrible brown brogues?
Yeah.
He's dressing like someone out of
Peaky Blinders.
I don't know, Peaky Blinders, Oliver Twist kind of thing. And I think I kind of like the character, the fighting Irish character. I think his shot will come at Elimination Chamber, which is next. And this is just simply a way to delay. Well, I don't know actually, because I thought it would be a way to delay then Edge versus Drew McIntyre, but then I also think, from my SmackDown review, which I'll go over later, but I think Edge will probably challenge Roman Reigns. So I wonder who Drew McIntyre will be against at Mania.
Hopefully,
again,
Goldberg.
I think. Well, yeah, we can but hope. Goldberg, Undertaker, and John Cena, with a McMahon in each corner,
And Ric Flair.
Ric Flair, yeah. So yeah, like I think the title shot comes at Elimination Chamber. Whether it's a continued program or not, I'm not sure. I just wish from all of this, when it came to Drew McIntyre giving his talk, because you're right, he did look a bit disheveled, and I was, if there had been a way to put money on this, then I would have done, because I was sure he was going to say Sheamus is shameful, but he didn't.
That's terrible. Okay, well, with that, we move on to my second big takeaway from Raw. I'm not even going to acknowledge that comment, Luke. That was the big US title match that was, built up over the last couple of weeks. Riddle challenging Bobby Lashley from the Hurt Business. He obviously won the chance to have this match on last week's Raw when he had to beat every member of the Hurt Business in one evening, and then he got to challenge. And we suspected that was going to be actually at the Royal Rumble. It was not going to be. It did not play a ruling in our picks anyway, if it would have, because we both got the right result. But anyway, the match starts off as matches with Riddle have recently. He rushes Lashley in the corner, starts laying the smackdown, but shortly after, Lashley takes the upper hand, and it's basically a bit of a squash beatdown on Riddle, which I was quite surprised by. Riddle does get a little bit in where he gets off the top rope and kicks Bobby Lashley on the outside in the head. But then Bobby Lashley finds a way back. He applies the hurt lock using the ropes as leverage. The referee starts a 5 count to release. Lashley does not let go, like they will not let go of this storyline. It felt like that to me. I felt like I've been in a hurt lock listening to this storyline for several weeks. And Lashley loses by DQ. So Riddle's the winner, but not the champion. After the match, Lashley's not done. He applies 2 more hurt locks, and he's really punishing poor Riddle. That was something I didn't mind seeing. Riddle then, in a little cutaway later on, he's still seen at ringside being attended to by referees and medical staff, and he has no memory of what's happened. He's asking, who did I just fight? What's happened? And they tell him it's Lashley, and he wouldn't let him go. And Riddle gets up. He wants to go and fight again, and they have to subdue him. Yeah, it was, I mean, I hope this is the end. I don't see it being the end. Yeah, what are your thoughts?
Like I was really surprised, like you said, that it was such a big squash, because for the guy that was in the final 5, final 6 in the Rumble and had quite a good show in the Rumble. I had an even better show than Lashley. Lashley came out strong, but only lasted kind of 4 or 5 minutes, whereas Riddle lasted a lot longer in the Rumble. To have that is quite damaging to him. But I think it's more important to build up this bad character that Lashley's becoming, is a good thing. The hurt lock that he was in looked painful, certainly in the ropes. And the way they played up Riddle still being there after the break and still being helped and not knowing where he was and who he had been against really plays into the character and builds Lashley up. Yeah. I don't think it's the last we've seen of it. I just hope that Riddle doesn't somehow overcome Lashley and all that work's undone on Lashley. What I really liked, and I thought the best person in this was actually MVP, and him talking and like kind of being quite surprised and showing his surprise at what Lashley has done and how Lashley has gone too far after MVP has been trying to get this out of him. I thought was really good and sort of saying like, you might win the match, but you won't win the court case and things like that. It was really cool. It was really, really cool. So yeah, like Lashley looks good. Riddle looks weak. Just don't have Riddle have a big baby face win over Lashley now.
No, I mean, I just want Riddle gone. I want him to bury himself in sand and never come out of it. But, you know, I actually really want to see, after the Rumble showdown, I'd like to see Lashley versus Big E at WrestleMania.
Oh, I'd love that.
That's the match we need to see.
Title versus title.
Intercontinental champ versus US champ, face versus heel. Yeah. Big Hoss versus Big Meat Sack. You know, it'll be awesome. That's the match we need to see.
It would be. That would be.
Will it happen? Probably not. I had some honourable mentions. Obviously, you referred to Bad Bunny. He was on Raw this week. A bit more build-up. He was on Miz TV, you know, and saying that he didn't want to cut any music deal with Miz and Morrison, which was pretty funny.
Yep.
Then we had a women's tag title contenders match. They really love those women's tag titles at the moment. They're really plugging them all the time. But it was Mandy and Dana versus Charlotte and Asuka, the former champs, versus Naomi and Lana, which I thought...
Naomi and Lana, really strange.
Who ended up winning the match. So now they're going to go on and face the Shayna Baszler, Nia Jax team with the championships on the line at a later date. And I likely see Lana's probably going to get the win there. So that will be weird.
Well, why didn't they just put Lana back with Asuka? Because Charlotte Flair was there as a replacement. Her and Asuka have been on TV twice since when they won the titles, when they lost the titles.
Made no sense.
Like, why didn't they just do that?
And there was also the match between Alexa Bliss and former tag team partner Nikki Cross, with a bit of transportation and so forth happening, which will feed into my last takeaway. So the main event was part 59,000, Edge versus Orton. I feel like we've seen this match more than R-Truth's had 24/7 title reigns. It seems like it's just an ongoing match that never finishes. I mean, they've already had the best match of all time, the best wrestling match of all time. Why do they need to fight again? But anyway, it's the match announced for the main event. Randy cuts a promo leading into it saying, after all I've done for you, Edge, you go and win the Royal Rumble, basically. How dare you? How dare you, Edge? There's no WrestleMania coming for you. So it's quite cool. I'm enjoying Orton's promos. Match is competitive, includes many of the tropes of Orton, especially his sneaky ness coming through. He's thumbing it to the eyes of Edge, which gives Edge some time to powder out, basically, while he turns around to do his RKO. He's beating his fist on the ground, and then he's distracted because he sees Alexa Bliss sitting up on the turnbuckle. She's freshly back from her match earlier where she fought Nikki Cross, but now she's bleeding out the mouth, which was quite disturbing. Looked really fake and quite pathetic, to be fair. It's enough to distract Orton, though, where Edge then spears him. 1, 2, 3, and Alexa's nowhere to be seen, but Orton has been beaten. And I think that's the full stop on the feud, hopefully. Edge versus Orton, and obviously going to lead into an Orton Fiend return down the line where shenanigans will ensue. I will say I did see a picture online this week of a new themed mask.
I saw that too.
And I don't know if that was a weird leak or something that was not meant to be shown. But, that's where we're heading. What do you think of the main event?
It was good. I didn't think it was needed. I think the feud could have been finished at the Royal Rumble. It was the two of them. It wasn't like it came down to Edge and Big E. Like it came down to the two of them, and Edge threw him out.
Yeah.
After receiving an RKO, like he won the match. It didn't need that. They're just looking for numbers, and by all accounts, they had a rise, an increase in viewership because of this match. So fair play to them, it worked. The Bliss stuff I thought was good. You're right, it looked very fake, but also just quite interesting. And yeah, like they're now setting off on the Fiend Orton stuff, which I think will be the match for Mania for Orton. I think that'll be the Fiend Orton. Maybe a cinematic match.
Firefly Funhouse match. Please, Firefly Funhouse match.
Yeah, I think if they do that, then that will be pretty good. Like if they do like they did with John Cena last year,
yeah, that
will be really, really good. So hopefully they're going to that. And I saw that picture that was leaked online. It looks like him, like the build of the person. It looks like him. I don't know why he'd be standing around taking photos of it though. That people could potentially send out, so it could be fake. But yeah, like you and I speculated, he's going to come back as something else. He won't come back as the Fiend that was. He'll come back as like a worse burnt Fiend, which I think is also going to happen at Elimination Chamber.
Yeah, well, I mean, only time's going to tell. I am happy to see the back of the Edge Orton feud, though. Not that I don't like them fighting or each individual wrestler, but you know, something's got to give on that. I mean, we don't want best wrestling match in the world part 2, do we?
No. What I always found interesting about that, the greatest wrestling match ever, was it was advertised before as the greatest wrestling match ever. That's something that surely should be called after it's happened, no?
Yeah. I mean, I don't get that. They could have called it the match up ever, the greatest wrestling match up ever, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's it for Raw. How about you lead us into today's SmackDown takeaways?
Yeah, let's have the takeaways from SmackDown. So 3 points where it's all centered around Roman Reigns, the majority, who again was nothing but brilliant today in both segments that he was in. So the opening segment started with Reigns and Heyman coming out. Reigns asked for Edge to come down like Edge has in Raw, and came out at NXT as well with Finn Balor, and yeah, like didn't come out, which is interesting, which makes me think that yeah, it's going for Reigns. And I watched a thing from last year where Reigns cut a promo on Edge saying that we'd all like to wrestle Edge in the ring, and it was when he was the face. I think that may play into it a bit as well. Reigns then became very angry towards Edge, sort of going back and forth. Can you believe this, Paul? Is this guy's not coming out? Can you believe this, Paul? And then says, don't play games with me. Very, very angry, and says, you will tell me your decision by the end of the night, and leaves. Which kind of set up the end package again. I'm liking the fact that in SmackDown at the moment, we're having a good opening segment and a good closing segment. It's very rare that actually SmackDown ends recently on a match. So yeah, I'm enjoying that a lot. There were a couple of good matches. The three-way Intercontinental match was a good match, back and forth. Sami Zayn being his usual self, but Apollo Crews as well in there, who I can't decide, is he full heel now? Is he not? Because he has some heelish characteristics and does some heelish moves. But the full heel, obviously, in this match was Sami Zayn. End with the big ending by Big E for the pinfall, for the win, which I, again, think was the right idea. The second point, though, that I'd like to bring out is we saw Bianca Belair, who came out looking like an absolute superstar.
Yep.
Like, she just has this aura now. Now that she's like... We already knew how good she was, but she has this aura, this presence about her. Now she's won the Rumble. She looked like she's brilliant. Comes out and is speaking about sort of hinting who she's going to be against. Banks joins her, and then they're later interrupted by Carmella and Reginald. Banks said a key line, you've got it all, but you don't got this, holding up the title, kind of very Sasha Banks kind of thing. And then the weird part of this and the way it ended and the disappointing part of this, because we didn't get the payoff of Bianca Belair challenging Sasha. We had Reginald step in when, just as Bianca Belair was about to say something, Reginald steps in and starts telling Bianca Belair that she's never going to beat Sasha Banks, which I don't understand. And if you look, it's like Carmella did it really well, but Carmella was kind of like, what behind him?
I saw that.
And then led to a beatdown by Belair with her hair, whipping him with her hair, which I found disappointing. One, because we didn't get the payoff of finally getting who one of the Royal Rumble winners are going to face. But two, could she not have just slammed him, or could she not just put him up on her shoulder? She's really strong.
It was a weird segment from start to finish. Or if you remember at the very beginning, with Bianca just doing her bit of a spiel, a voice came over the speaker, and I didn't even know who. Well, no one would know, would they? Who Reginald's voice is? I was like, "Who's that? Who's coming out?" It was so weird. And why is he going to bat for Sasha Banks? Who
strange, isn't it?
He's the sommelier for her rival. That doesn't make any sense.
No, it didn't.
He might be leading to some kind of three-way match potentially.
I wouldn't mind being Reginald.
Maybe. I'm not so worried about.
Yeah, but like having the beatdown and the final bit of that segment was her whipping him with her ponytail. Yeah, it doesn't make Reginald look very strong, but it doesn't make her look very good either. Makes her look like she did when she first came up from NXT. Like, I didn't understand it. I didn't actually ask you what you thought of the opening segment. I rushed straight through. I'm sorry, buddy. What did you think of the opening segment? Because then we'll go into the
I thought it was pretty cool. I think that is the match we're going to see, Edge Reigns, like you've said. I do think that it's going to happen. I found we're starting to see cracks in the whole Roman Reigns as God kind of gimmick, which is good.
Yep.
We want to see him go a bit insane. My favorite bit was when Paul Heyman jumped out the ring and was trying to order Edge's pyrotechnics to play. I thought that was quite cool.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, I don't know. How do they build it up any more than they have? I think they've done a perfect job. I think next week Edge is probably going to arrive on Raw again and have more shenanigans with Drew just to keep that fire there. But I think ultimately he's going to decide next week on SmackDown. Yeah,
I do. Yeah. So moving into the final segment, we also had Daniel Bryan versus Cesaro, like I said earlier, and Bryan lost clean. The tall kids reading on the Twitter before coming on here that Bryan was asked to do this to lose clean to Cesaro as an enticement. So it really shows what a good company man Daniel Bryan is, like sacrificing his own push in the WrestleMania build-up for someone else's push. I think that's great. But the last one, Edge came down to the ring looking like he was going to make a decision for Mania, which finally going to pay off, because if you remember last year, we had our decisions made pretty quickly. We had Drew McIntyre came out and challenged Brock Lesnar straight away, which made him look super strong. And who was it? Who else was it last year? Oh, Charlotte. She arrived on NXT within a week and challenged Rhea Ripley. Thinking it's going to happen. Big payoff. Reigns comes down to the ring with Jey Uso by his side. So Jey Uso is back. Again, adding to the confusion of where was he at the Royal Rumble, and nothing's been said. And obviously Paul Heyman. A little go between Edge and Reigns, and Reigns actually says that favorite word of mine, "oos," and tells him that he can leave, that he can handle this by himself, which I thought was pretty cool. He doesn't need his henchmen. He goes on about the respect and how he's been disrespecting his family. He said that Edge should tell him who his opponent's going to be, and he hands the mic, and you can hear him say, That's your cue, which I thought was pretty funny. I really like that when he did that. And then we're going to get it. And then Kevin Owens arrives and stuns Roman Reigns, which means that's not finished with yet, is it? Great.
Yeah.
So after what was two really great segments, it finishing with Kevin Owens coming out and giving Reigns a stunner. Even if Edge had said Roman Reigns' name and then dropped the microphone whilst Reigns was on the floor after being stunned, that would have been better than how they left it. And I was just like, oh, this is... We're going through it again. So it's going to be Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens at what's it called? A elimination chamber. Maybe it's like first man to die loses. Like, I guess that's the only way they can do it now.
You know what would be funny? If Edge, he was put on the spot, it's your cue, and Edge is like, I'm going to choose Roman, and he drops like the handcuff key from the Royal Rumble, and then Raymond's like, what? And then boom, he gets the stunner from Kevin Owens. Then that would have been good.
That would have been good. But yeah, like just Kevin Owens coming out at the end. I was hoping they would, like I said in my my review in the week, I'm hoping now that Kevin Owens goes on to do something else. Doesn't mean I don't think Kevin Owens is not good to touch for the challenge. I do. But he's not good to touch for the challenge for the title against Roman Reigns, because they're never going to put Kevin Owens over Roman Reigns for the title.
Hard spot, isn't
what are
it?
your thoughts?
I think if you're in that feud for so long and you're on the bad end of it where you're losing but still looking good, where can you go? I mean, I only see him switching brands is the only good outcome.
That's the only way he can do it, yeah.
I mean, Kevin Owens, Drew McIntyre could be a good match.
I was just thinking Kevin Owens, Finn Balor for the NXT title could be a good match.
Mind that too.
That would be excellent.
Yeah. One other funny thing I liked was when Edge said, "Oh, you can't come out here alone. I'm here alone. You've brought these guys with you." And then and old Uso's back there powdering up. And then and Roman goes, "Don't worry." He's like, "Paul, you stay back." And he's like, "Don't worry. Paul will not get involved without me saying so." I was like, that's pretty funny.
It's good, but yeah, just a disappointment in the end. Should we move on to our favorite segment?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's everyone's favorite segment. I mean, I hear. I mean, we didn't do many shout outs this week because we didn't have too many new subscribers, but from what I've heard from the echelons, this is John Lutua's favorite segment.
Yep. Cheers, John.
Ryback's favorite segment.
Friend of the show, Ryback.
Big friend of the show, Ryan Reeves. We were, engaged in some good conversation earlier this week, and he was telling me favorite segment. So it's the WrestleBeards top 3.
Sorry, was that before or after he blocked you on Instagram?
Yeah, that was awkward, wasn't it? But we won't go there. That's
every wrestling podcast. That's like a badge of honor to be blocked by a wrestler. That's like a badge of honor. Congratulations.
Thank you. Well, this week's WrestleBeards top 3. It's timely because we've had a few new versions of these lately. It's our favorite wrestling theme songs for wrestlers in the industry. It's particularly WWE. We've recently seen Big E shed his New Day theme, and he's now got his own theme song because he's doing his own thing. He's out by himself. And we've also got what are they called? The Dirty Dogs, the new SmackDown. The
Dirty Dogs. Yeah.
I've got a modified theme of Ziggler and the Glorious theme mashed together, which is quite cool. Mm-hmm. So I thought, let's go through our favorite theme songs of all time. And we're going to do it a little bit differently. So we're going to play them one at a time to each other. But because of obviously the rights to do so, and we don't want to have this YouTube blocked, we're going to play them via Google Translate. So if you type the words to anything in Google Translate, it will obviously read it back to you via their automated robotic person. So how about you lead us off? What's your third favorite theme song of all time?
Okay, so this is an age-old one, and one that I think about, and now that it's stuck in my head, I'm not going to be able to stop thinking about it for the next couple of days. And it goes a little something like this.
When it comes crashing down and it hurts inside, ya gotta take a stand. It don't help to hide well. You hurt my friends and you hurt my pride. I gotta be a man. I can't let it slide. I am a real American. Fight for the rights of every man. I am a real American. Fight for what's right. Fight for your life. There
we go. So Real American there by the immortal Hulk Hogan. And my first memory of this was WrestleMania, I think WrestleMania 5, against Ultimate Warrior, title for title. Ultimate Warrior at the time was the Intercontinental Champion. Hulk Hogan at the time was the World Champion. And just when it came on, when it comes crashing down, it hurts inside. Bam, 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 and he comes running out. It was just so good. And everyone, I think it was like 80,000 people at this WrestleMania, one of the biggest ever. Yeah, it was great. So what a theme tune that is.
Oh, it's amazing. He was one of the few guys who had a couple of good theme tunes, obviously with his NWA one being a big one as well. But, you know, nothing can beat it when Hogan, you know, that music hits and the red and yellow appears. I mean, who doesn't love Hogan, apart from all the people he was racist to, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, great start. Okay, my first one, a little bit different from the norm, but let's hear it.
Somebody gonna get their ass kicked. Somebody gonna get their wig split. Somebody gonna get their ass kicked. Somebody gonna get their wig split. Beat 'em up, break his neck. Break his neck. Beat 'em up, break his neck. Break his neck. Beat 'em up, break his neck. Break his neck. Beat 'em up, break his neck. Break his neck.
All right, I think that's it. Of course, it's Mark Henry, the world's strongest man. I think this is the first mention we've ever given him on the channel.
It is.
He wasn't particularly my favorite wrestler by any means, but yeah, I love that theme song. It always has resonated with me. I love hearing he's going to split a wig. He's going to beat him up. That era where he sort of came out of nowhere to be the world heavyweight champion in the 2000s was a great time for him. He was, you know, he was inducting people into the Hall of Pain. He, you know, had some memorable matches with Kurt Angle and with Big Show.
The Big Show ones, the ones I really remember. They were,
it was a good era. But you know, Mark Henry, you know, he just looks like a killer. Like
he does.
Some wrestlers out there, you know, like for example, Seth Rollins. I'm not intimidated by Seth Rollins. Like if I see Seth Rollins in the street, I'm not worried about him, you know, potentially beating me up or killing me. But if I walk up to Mark Henry in the street, that guy is deadly looking. I'm scared of the thought of seeing Mark Henry. And just that music when it hits, it was, you know, pretty low key and kind of casual, but then it pounds with, I think it's the, what are they called? The something Mafia, 3-6 Mafia or something? I can't remember. Yeah, I loved it. It was one of my favorite themes. I just loved hearing that. It's kind of disappointing that it's Mark Henry's theme in a way.
Yeah, but it's suited the character so well. Like the Hall of Pain, Mark Henry, like that suited the character so well. Yeah, no, good one. Good one, that one.
What do you got next for us?
Right, so my next one is, it's recently been changed to an equally good one. Well, I say recently, probably the last sort of 10 years or so it's been changed. But this was during his time in the 2000s. And yeah, I'll play it to you.
It's time to play the game, time to play the game. Ha ha ha, it's all about the game and how you play it. All about control and if you can take it. All about your debt and if you can pay it. It's all about pain and who's gonna make it. I am
There we go.
Wow.
So it's Triple H again, originally done by Motorhead, way back when Lemmy was still with us. And actually, the reason I've chosen this one, because it's a brilliant song, entrance theme, made for Triple H, who's a huge Motorhead fan, but in turn got me into Motorhead, and I've actually seen Motorhead 5 or 6 times. Not once have they ever played that song though, which has always been a bit. They've never played the game. Never ever played the game. Every time I've seen them, they've never played it. But yeah, got me into it, and I remember their live performance of WrestleMania 17. Obviously, it was a bit. There was lots of pitchy sound problems, but that big grand stage of WrestleMania 17, probably still the best WrestleMania ever. One of the highlights for me of that WrestleMania was Triple H's entrance with Motorhead playing live for him, which was great. It has since changed to the King of Kings theme tune, which I think is equally as good. Certainly the start of it, where they kind of introduce him as the King of Kings, and then the big guitar riff comes in.
Is King of Kings also Motorhead?
Motorhead as well, yeah. So yeah, and Motorhead also did the Evolution soundtrack as well, the Evolution theme tune.
It's a great
it's a brilliant one.
Question for you: who would win in a fight between Lemmy and God?
I would say Lemmy. Simply because.
Trick question. Lemmy is God. You obviously haven't seen Wayne's World 2. It's from
I have not seen Wayne's World 2.
Oh, mate.
I've not.
It's brilliant.
But yes. Yeah, good soundtrack. Let's hear your number 2. I'm surprised this isn't number 1.
Okay, well, I'll give it a play. Here we go.
Smash dun 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 dun.
And we're done. Dun 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 dun. Of course, it's Austin 316, the glass smash. Here we go. Austin's strutting to the ring. Yeah, I can see why you'd think it wouldn't be. You're surprised it's not 1. We'll get to that shortly. But let's talk about this theme. It's iconic. Every time that glass smashes, you know you're about to see shiz go down, you know?
Yes.
Austin doesn't muck around. He means business. He storms to the ring. He struts his stuff. He gives the finger in each corner. He beer baths his opponents. He gets beers thrown in. He sometimes toasts with an opponent. But you know it's going to end with a stunner. I love that theme song. And, you know, he hasn't wrestled for probably, 10, 15 years now. It's going back a bit now. But he still makes the odd appearance. And even when he comes back, that theme, even for the new era, those who probably weren't around watching when Austin was around, they love it. They go nuts for it. Even when they were in the old Performance Center doing the no Thunderdome, no fans part, and Austin came back and he was just engaging with Byron Saxton. Do you remember that night? That was classic. It was. Love it. I remember like dressing up as Austin a couple of times for some kind of party and playing that theme music. It was pretty embarrassing. Yeah, because I used to be bald. I used to have a bald head. So, not my proudest moment, but I love Austin. And that's a shout out to Bundy, friend of the channel. He's too scared to come on as a guest, but he loves Austin and he's got an Austin tattoo.
Wow. Well, fair play, Bundy. Goodness me.
All right. How about you lead us off with your favorite wrestling theme tune of all time?
Okay, so I'm going to bring you back now to, it must have been 98, 99. No, 99 it was, and there was this countdown clock. And The Rock was in the ring, and this countdown was going down, and Jerry Lawler's like, what is it? And suddenly the lights go out, and then you hear this.
For those about to rockin' what y'all want, baby, you know you're Judas, and I'm your priest, baby. What I got is not for the least. Bring it through the stage in the rage of a beast. Step in the arena and break the wall down. Step in the arena and break the wall down so good. You know I got ya. Sue right, yeah.
Wow.
Okay, so
Can I just say, imagine if that was the actual theme. It would have been.
now the reason for this, I watch this every now and then, not a lot, but sometimes once in a while when I'm a little bit bored, I go and watch the Jericho debut. And it wasn't anything to do with The Rock. It wasn't anything to do with Chris Jericho and the way he was speaking. It was really cool with him doing this originally in that silvery sequiny shirt that he had on, big long blonde hair. What was amazing about that was because these lyrics were something that we hadn't heard in WWE. And as it said, you know I got you, yeah, and then break the walls down, Jericho's name spins around. And the crowd goes nuts. Like, that is the biggest pop ever. Yeah, the crowd goes wild. And then it's been his theme tune throughout. On his returns, when he did his return to the Rumble, and again, it doesn't go straight into it. It kind of fizzes around a little bit, then goes into the track. It makes everyone get off their seats because it's just such a good and iconic theme tune. And like we've said, he's your favorite wrestler. I think he's in my top 3. Kurt Angle is my favorite, but he's in my top 3 of all time. Chris Jericho. I'm in an iron between The Rock and Chris Jericho, but Chris Jericho gets me more.
Oh, it's a great theme. And the best debut ever, let's be fair.
Incredible.
It came out of, people were suspecting it was going to be him, but no one saw what was going to happen and how big a global superstar he would become.
No.
Y2J, amazing. And that theme, every time it plays, it's so, gets me tingling inside.
Gets you goosebumpy, right? Yeah.
I love it. And obviously, in more recent years, Y2J is obviously not allowed to use that in AEW.
No.
His theme is not as memorable that he has now.
It isn't.
I do like Judas. He's not using that for a theme, but they use that for the AEW music, which is quite cool. So it's a shame he didn't use that for his theme in AEW. But one day we'll hear it again. I know we'll hear it again in WWE one day. Jericho's a smart businessman. He never say never. He's never burnt bridges.
He'll be there.
He's never talked crap about the company.
Nope.
Yeah. We'll see it again. Okay, well, speaking of not burning bridges, you wouldn't want to burn a bridge with my next and most famous theme song person, wrestler, if we want to call them that. But this is a surprising one, but I think you'll know why I've chosen it as well, because it is so iconic, and it's just an awesome theme. So here we go. Let's hear it out.
No chance if that's what you got. Ha ha, yeah. Up against a machine, 2 strong greedy politicians buying souls from us. A puppet's wheel, find their place in line. Go tie a string around your finger now. Boy, cause it's just a matter of time. Cause you've got no chance. No chance in hell, you got no chance. No chance in hell, you got no chance. No chance in hell, you got no chance. No chance in hell. Yeah.
Wow. It's definitely
that is a good one.
Was the main song, but it's obviously Vince McMahon's "No Chance in Hell." What do we call him? The leader of the pack, the chairman of the board.
It's a corporation's one first, wasn't it? And then
it was. It was originally
he had it. Shane McMahon had it.
That's right, but it's stuck with Vince. And any time, he doesn't make too many appearances anymore. And his more recent ones are definitely not memorable. But when he used to make a seldom comeback and that music hit, because it's such a slow build in, no chance, that's what you got. Oh, it's awesome. I love that song. If I'm not mistaken, It's the same people who were on the DX song.
It is, yeah. I was going to say that it's exactly the same.
I know Jim Johnson is the sort of musical director. He also did probably the Y2J one. But yeah, I mean, it sounds like Rage Against the Machine, even though it's not.
It does.
And it's cool. I mean, it doesn't always seem like it would fit someone like Vince McMahon, but when he does that strut to the ring and it fits his character, no chance in hell. Like, Vince is a tough bastard. You don't want to mess with him. So yeah, that's my favorite. By all means, judge me on that, but I love it.
No, good one. Very good.
Okay, so I mean, we've got our own great theme. We'll play it now.
WrestleBeards, we got all your wrestling
the
gear.
WrestleBeards theme, probably that's my favorite wrestling theme, to be fair.
Yeah.
But you know,
That one.
you can't pick yourself, can you? Okay, well, great WrestleBeards top 3 again, Luke, and we'll move
very
to
good.
our final segment, which is WrestleBeards homework, where we offer up something wrestling related that our followers can go away, check out, and potentially enjoy. So why don't you lead out with what your offering is for the week for WrestleBeards homework?
Yeah, so yesterday I was had a bit of downtime after work, so I thought I would look on the WWE, see what the documentaries are, and there was WWE 24 Keith Lee, and it tracks his from entering into the Indies, becoming a wrestler, to the day that he debuted on Raw, which was actually August 20th, 2020. I thought it was longer than that, but it was only 6 months ago. And he's led a real interesting life, going to being picked to get a scholarship at Texas Tech, I think it was, to play American football. But his dream in life was to become a wrestler, and it was his gran who actually got him into wrestling, and his cousins into wrestling. And it just tracks the constant no's. He first had an appearance on WWE TV in 2005, I think it was, or 2008, sorry, when he acted as a security guard between the third generation superstars, so Ted DiBiase, Randy Orton, and Legacy. Yes, that was it. And Vince McMahon, Shane McMahon, and Triple H come down to the ring, and Vince McMahon punches Keith Lee. Wow. And Keith Lee is told, "Oh, you need to go down when the boss punches you." And so he punches him, and Keith Lee's this massive bloke, Vince McMahon's this big, and you see Vince McMahon look around like, "What are you doing? You've oversold that." And he I didn't realize this, but he got rejected from the company time and time and time again. Loads of times, 6-7 times he was rejected, and finally came in 2018, and is now the superstar that I love in the WWE right now. So yeah, it's an hour long. If you like Keith Lee, if you're interested in where he's from, what he did, I did, funny enough, actually text friend of the show, Corey King, co-founder of the Black and the Brit podcast, a podcast friend of the show, and actually because Corey King, like, other than the initial similarity, but the body, the size of the both of them, and the way they hold themselves, I was really reminded of Corey when watching Keith Lee. So yeah, give it a watch. It's a really, really good documentary.
Yeah, well, I mean, if Keith Lee had a podcast with Gilbert, that would basically be like Corey and Giles, wouldn't it? Yeah, no, I want to check that out. That's something I haven't seen. I do like Keith Lee, and you know, he's something different. That's what I like about him. He's a big fella after my own heart. He's you know, he doesn't fit the mold. He's a big domineering guy, but he's, you know, not muscular by any means. He's quite overweight, but still very strong, packs a good punch, and he's quite agile. I'd be keen to hear about his life. Yeah, WWE 24 Keith Lee. Great shout. Okay, well, my offering is a little bit different this week. I thought I'd give like a hot tip in the wrestling watching department, and it's a bit naughty, so shh, don't tell WWE Network especially, or
don't put it on a
Fox
podcast
or anything else, especially you, Ryback. Don't you go telling anyone. But my offering this week is watchwrestling.in, which is a website, and I use it because I'm a cheapo and I don't traditionally like to pay subscription fees and so forth. So I don't have cable television either, so I don't get to have the spoils of watching, Raw or SmackDown live or delayed. But I do have this website which has it all on there. It has got the annoying have to, click some X's in order to have some pop-ups removed. But once you've done that twice, you're good to go. And whilst something is on, like SmackDown this morning, it will put it into different segments. Like, so there might be 10 different videos to watch, which is no biggie. But after a show is finished, they pack it into either one or two smaller videos. And it's the way I watch my wrestling. I mean, I'm sorry to say it's a bit naughty, but when you're living in Asia and you don't have, the best schedule to watch things at the same time, sometimes you've got to stretch. So I was told about this from a friend, watchwrestling.in.
Yep.
It's a great shout. Not only does it have wrestling, WWE, it also has obviously it has Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and 205 Live, and NXT UK. It also has AEW, it has Impact, it has New Japan Wrestling, it has the UFC, and it always has live streams on there.
Don't tell Dana White.
And it has big boxing fights, which is great.
Yep.
So check it out if you want that hot tip. They might take it down soon. They might be angry at me. Ryback, warn you again. Don't tell on me. But it's a great shout. So
very good one. Yeah, excellent.
Okay. Well, there we have it, Luke. We've done our 9th show. It looks like we need to have a big party for our 10th bash
10th
next week. I'm looking forward to it. We might have to do something special for the number 10.
Yep, I agree. I've got my party hat ready.
Well, we'll have to get something ready. One thing before we go, we're not obviously going to make our Royal Rumble predictions for next year. It's a bit too soon. How about we each predict who Edge and Belair are going to take on for the titles at WrestleMania, just for a bit of fun?
Okay. Do you want to go first? Do you want to lead on?
Yeah, okay. Well, Bianca Belair, I think, is going to fight Sasha Banks. I think it just seems like it's going to be right. And I think Sasha Banks is going to turn heel actually in the process. And I think Reginald's going to side with her. Maybe even Carmella. Maybe there'll be some kind of tag team / faction. But I think Sasha as a heel is way better than Sasha as a face. So I could see that. As for Edge, I also think he's going to be challenging the SmackDown champion, Roman Reigns. So it's going to be double SmackDown picks. But yeah, that's what I think. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think both Belair and Edge are going to face Banks and Reigns. I think SmackDown is the better brand at the moment. So I think both of those titles were the ones that Royal Rumble gets. The Royal Rumble winner gets. And I also think we're going to see 2 new champions. I think Edge beats Reigns, and I think Belair beats Banks.
Yeah. The only thing I think is that Edge may not win due to interference from someone like Christian. Something like nasty, where Christian comes back and he stops Edge in the middle of the match or something, and it leads to a mini feud between those two to end out both.
I hope not. I would prefer to see a one final tag team run between the two of them rather than a feud between the two of them.
You never know though, eh? Okay, well, there we have it. Podcast 9 in the bag. We'll see you next week for another installment. Cheers, guys.
Cheers, guys. Cheers, Shrek. Take care.